Welcome to the League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County Candidate Forum for Pierce County Charter Review Commission District 6, Positions 1 and 2. I'm Lydia Zapeta, moderator for this forum. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, I begin this forum with a land acknowledgement. The League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County acknowledges that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, surrounded by their traditional waters in the shadow of Mount Tahoma, which is looking pretty spectacular today, I have to say. We actively seek inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor Indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and current realities. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization whose mission for the past 105 years has been to empower informed and active participation of citizens in government. Candidate forums are one of the many ways that we do this. If you want more information about us, please visit our website at LWVTPC. We invited all the candidates in District 6, but only those for positions 1 and 2 chose to participate in this forum. The candidates in ballot order for District 6 of the Pierce County Charter Review Commission are Position 1, George Conzuelo and John P. Colvin, who has joined us, thank you. And then Position 2, Lisa T. Boyd and Sam Scott. The general election is November 4th. To register to vote or change your address, go to votewa.gov, that's votewa.gov, by Monday, October 27th. If you're already registered to vote and your address is correct, your ballot was mailed to you on October 17th, and you probably have received it. Your ballot must be postmarked or placed in a ballot drop box by 8 p.m. Tuesday, November 4th. This forum is being recorded and will be posted at our website. Again, that's lwvtpc.org. Questions have been prepared by the League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County. We invite live audience questions via text to this number, 425-765-5388. Questions must be directed to all candidates and may be reworded or consolidated. Our timekeeper is Terry Baker. Candidates, please stay on gallery view so that you can see the timer. When your time is up, please stop. You may finish your sentence if it's short. Please don't talk unless it's your turn. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. The audience is muted and can't use the chat function. Just a reminder that civility is expected, and I ask each of you to confirm that you agree to our ground rules, which among other things includes addressing the issues and not making personal comments. Please confirm by giving me the thumbs up, and I want to see all 4 thumbs up before we get going. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Each candidate has up to 2 minutes for an opening statement. After that, the order of questions will rotate, and each candidate will be asked the same question. At the end, each candidate can make a 1-minute closing statement. The order of the 2-minute statements for Charter Review Commission District 6 are in ballot order. We'll start with position 1. George Conzuelo, please, your 2-minute statement.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is George Conzuelo. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a candidate running for District 6 Charter Review Commission, Position 1. I have been on this journey since March. It's been a long and a growing and learning journey for me and my team. I'm proud to have a campaign team full of young people, the youngest starting at the age of 13 all the way up to 24. It's been a learning experience for me as a first-time candidate. It's been a learning experience for them as first-time organizers. But I believe that youth in these spaces should be the expectation and not the exception. So I am a graduate of the University of Washington, Seattle. I majored in political science, specifically political economy. I've been active in my community across Pierce County since probably around the age of 16. I began with Safe Streets Youth Leading Change, and I learned there the power of my voice and the impact that it can make in the community. And so I have since then grown and gotten a handfuls of experience from serving on commissions and boards for Pierce County, for the city of Tacoma, for other nonprofit organizations. And so I bring that expertise into the circle, hopefully when I get elected into this position. We've been going across District 6. We've hit Lakewood, we've hit Parkland, we've gone to Anderson Island, we've gone to Stellacum, We've been knocking on doors, talking to voters, hopping on calls. And so I'm really trying to bring this experience to all voters, and not just the ones that are the ones that are often thought about. So I'm here to work for all voters, not just the 51% that vote for me. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. John P. Colvin, please, your 2-minute statement.
Hi, my name is John Colvin. I've been a resident of Washington for pretty much my entire life. I joined the Army back in 1993 and retired from the same in 2018, where I was a mechanic for the majority of the time. However, my last stint in the Army was with the Assistant Inspector General. And that's where we provided trend analysis, and we also provided regulation and basically regulation interpretation, as well as code and other types of interpretation to commanders and whatnot, so they can make informed decisions. After retiring, I almost immediately joined the Lions Club and also the American Legion. I am currently now the commander of our post, American Legion post in DuPont, Washington. I also currently sit on the DuPont City Planning Commission, where we've gone over several planning documents. Right now, we're going through our comprehensive plan, to update the comprehensive plan for the city to meet both the Growth Management Act of Washington and also to meet RCWs as well as federal code. I work on the Lions Club. I'm on the board of the Lions Club. So those flags that you see flying in Lacey, that's me and my group. We put them up at all the holidays, July 4th and other veteran holidays. So I look forward to hopefully working with everybody on the charter review, and I look forward to actually learning quite a bit. I've read the charter, the current charter, and I think there are some things that probably could use some changing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Lisa Boyd, please, your 2-minute statement.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much for having us and the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event. I'm so happy to have been invited. I want to say that I am excited about being part of the Charter Review. I've been part of Pierce County for the majority of my life, except for traveling with my husband when he was in the military a few places. I've had the hats of military wife, military daughter, and military mom. So have that connection in through Fort Lewis and other places that we have been stationed together. I am a retired school principal, and I was principal for over 20 years in the Clover Park School District, and I am a product of the Clover Park School District. I actually graduated from Lakes High School after attending Lake Louise Man and Lakes. I focused on bringing people together. I think I'm in the fourth quarter of my life right now, and I'm retired from my formal career as a principal, and I am focusing my time on things that enhance the community and the quality of life in Pierce County. And so I'm excited when I was asked about this role to throw my hat in the ring so that I could help with this charter and include the voices of people of Pierce County. I am, along with being a former principal, where I led Harrison Preparatory School to get started and accredited, and worked in several of the schools in Clover Park. I'm also on the Board of Trustees for Pierce College, and I'm excited about the work that they're doing at Pierce College. And I'm on the Pierce College Foundation as well, where we make sure that there's access to affordable, high-quality education for our local students.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank
I'm That's what I say. I gotta watch the clock.
Yeah. Sam
Okay.
Scott, please. Your 2-minute statement.
Okay, thank you. First, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County for coordinating and hosting this candidate forum. I appreciate the opportunity to answer questions and provide my perspectives on issues. As a retired U.S. Army officer, I served 21 years, and a retired Pierce College associate professor, I taught computer information systems courses for 21 years. And a currently elected and serving Selicum Historical School District #1 school board member and currently the board chair. I'm in my 22nd year on the school board. I believe I have a rich background of leadership and staff and policy experience that would be effective as a member of the Charter Review Commission. Uh, in my mind, it's very important that the Pierce County Charter, our foundational document, remains relevant and complies with applicable state and federal laws and relevant Washington state constitution provisions so that we can maintain and or gain the trust of our constituents. And that's why I'm running for the position. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we come to questions. Each candidate gets up to 90 seconds to answer each question. Again, the live audience can text questions to this number, 425-765-5388. The candidate order will rotate. So for question number 1, we'll start with John Coleman. First question. District 6 encompasses Lakewood, DuPont, Steilacoom, Anderson Island, and JBLM. What do you believe is the biggest challenge faced by District 6, and how are the needs different or similar to the rest of Pierce County? John Colvin, please.
You have to forgive me, I'm not technically savvy. I think number one, just the geographical location. You got Puget Sound. Yeah, Anderson Island is an island. So reaching people out there, you need to take a ferry. Dealing with the intricacies of an island. Getting fuel out there, electricity. There's a lot of logistics involved in just an island. Then you look at the city of DuPont, and although DuPont is not an island, it kind of sort of is in that it's bordered by the Puget Sound Joint Base Lewis McChord and the Nisqually Delta. So again, one way in, one way out. When you're dealing with traffic or dealing with emergencies, and like such as that train derailment a few years ago, literally DuPont's residents were locked in because I-5 itself. And then I-5 is another issue, as far as transportation. The amount of accidents, really going from Tacoma down to Olympia, there's only one way, which is I-5. And so I think, the geographical location of Pierce County and a lot of the cities inside it pose an issue. And then transportation itself is also another good issue.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing District 6, and how are the needs similar or different to the rest of Pierce County?
Oh, I would imagine that the needs are pretty similar to other districts, but I do want to say that from what I've heard, there's a lot of need for affordable childcare. And I see that in the different roles that I've played as principal and families trying to find childcare, as well as the students. I know that that is along with the housing issues as well, being able to have affordable housing, the things that I'm hearing, and then safety, which seems to be getting a little bit better, but it is one of the things that gets brought up quite a bit. People feeling safe, people being housed, and affordable education. We are growing by leaps and bounds when it comes to the size of our area, and we're not being able to keep up with the demand of needs for just our daily living. Transportation is a huge thing that I hear a lot about as well, and having systems in place to meet the growing needs of our communities.
Thank you. Sam Scott, please.
Thank you. I think Lisa hit on a lot of the same things that I would wrote notes on. I mean, we have major challenges, the diversity of incomes of the constituents around District 6, backgrounds, the military influence when you have soldiers PCSing in and out. And so you have a lot of transition and change for the kids in the schools. Housing affordability is one of the biggest ones, and availability. If you look at Steilacoom, not a lot of space to, grow housing, and DuPont's looking at some major development in the old Fort Lake area. Uh, the infrastructure for transportation. I mean, we pay a lot of money for sound transit, and I don't know that we're going to get a lot of benefit for it. Um, and so I think probably some of the biggest challenges have to do with housing and housing affordability and transportation, and making it all economically affordable.
Thank you. George Consuelo, please.
Thank you. I agree with what many others have said in the conversation. Economic stability is a really big one. Having worked with the Family Promise of Pierce County and working with our homeless neighbors, we're seeing that all across Pierce County, folks are having a tougher and tougher time making ends meet, making sure that they have stability not only for this month, but for next month. Coming from a single parent household, definitely know that childcare is a big thing, especially when it's when it's basically the number one cost for families to have their children taken care of, and expanding those opportunities. I worked on that as well with the Birth to 25 Advisory Board, and that's where some of the PASA funds went to helping that issue surrounding opportunity for childcare. And something that additionally I've seen is visibility with our immigrant and refugee community, especially right now with the current times that we're in with administration. I feel like representation and kind of the uplifting of our communities has always been difficult, but especially more so now. Being able to show out, as we did with Pierce County with the proclamation from Pierce County Council for Welcoming Week, and ensuring that we are here to support all members in our community is really important. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Lisa Boyd. Given the Charter Review Commission will have 21 members, speak to your experience and best practices working with a large group of people of differing opinions in reaching a consensus. Lisa Boyd.
Well, I've served, I think my biggest experience with it is my years of service as a principal. I started a school and you had lots of voices at the table, from families to students and others that came to the table to with different views of what the what the school we were forming, Harrison Prep at the time, would be like, and how we would have access to people all through the district. And I think I've supported work with diverse voices at all of the volunteer organizations that I work in right now in retirement, from spiritual organizations like my church and Young Life, and then at Pierce College with the Board of Trustees, and making sure that we bring student voices, community voices, and other voices to the table as we are moving forward with new bylaws, changing with the changing needs of our community, going into schools and talking to students at the high school and having partnerships all the way K-12 with secondary education and post-secondary education. So I think my experience with that.
Thank you. Sam Scott.
Thank you for the question. I mean, in my many years of service in the service, I've had to deal and work with lots of large staffs. But I think most recently, um, in the school district, we had about a 2-year process when our school construction bond failed to figure out what's going to be the next 4 years worth of project for the capital projects levy that's on the ballot. And so we had something like 22 or 23 members, which included some staff members, community members, a couple of school board members, where we had to tour all the schools and find out what their needs are and come up with a plan of projects that would fit within the budget in, a $10 million budget a year. Uh, Took us over a year to work through all that. And of course, we have all these competing and conflicting priorities from coaches to music people to teachers to staff. Um, Ultimately, we did it. And it was a matter of listening to each other and listening to their reasons and arguments. And then the numbers finally dictated. It was like a big Tetris puzzle, trying to figure out how to get all those pieces together and which ones we can do in what order. Um, a lot of it's listening to people and just working with them, and I think I've done that well over my many years of work.
Thank you. George Consuelo, please.
And can I have you repeat the question? I do apologize.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Given the Charter Review Commission will have 21 members, speak to your experience and best practices working with a large group of people of differing opinions in reaching a consensus.
Thank you. Absolutely. I think that's the epitome of community organizing. So being able to work across diverse groups of people, seeing the through lines, seeing the intersectionality of it all, and being able to bring forward a plan of action for everyone to have a sense of belonging in that is really important. Something that, again, I have done since my time in high school. And I think bringing in all those stories and perspectives have been what has made the work worth it. When you feel like you're part of the system, when you feel like you're part of the process, then everyone's voice is uplifted. But when we only have a handful of people, like with our voter registration, how we only have roughly 60 to 80% of voters registered, and of that, the turnout is only 25 at its high point. We're missing a big chunk of people, which is kind of what our campaign has been working on. You get the stereotypical, oh, you have to hit these neighborhoods because they vote often. You have to talk to these people because that's where the votes are. Fortunately, I know the work will turn out the numbers, and so we've been hitting all neighbors, especially if they haven't voted in the last couple of years or in the primaries, because we know that their voice, regardless of voter history, is important and is necessary in this process, especially for charter review.
Thank you. John Colvin, please.
Yeah, so as I said in my opening statement, 25 years in the Army, that's nothing but team building and working on a team. And everybody's got differing opinions. The fortunate part about the Army, though, is as you get higher into leadership, you can be more assertive in what you want and motivate others to do what it is that you need to be done. So going into some of these nonprofit organizations where I've had to sit and listen to other people's opinions and others' ideas and try to lead them or even just be part of a team to accomplish a specific task. For instance, when I was on the parish council there on Main Post Chapel on JBLM, just going over the budget, trying to decide what organizations that we would give our designated offerings to, and so working with people, validating everyone's thoughts, everyone's ideas, and examining my own beliefs and listening to what they have to say and comparing my beliefs to what's being put on the table. Is my belief more important than, the overall cause? So I think really to be on a good part of a team is just self-reflection and validating others.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Sam Scott. How do you propose to seek public input into the charter review process? Sam Scott, please.
Thank you for the question. How do you propose to seek constituents' input into the charter review process? That's a challenge for any politician, is getting people to care. And so to me, you're going to have to take advantage of social media. I mean, a lot of times social media can be very negative, but take advantage of social media, websites. You have to have coffees. You have to put yourself out there and let people know that if you have issues with things that are happening with the Pierce County Charter, I will be at Starbucks or I will be at the coffee cabin. You know, I'll go on these days and make myself available. Uh, you really have to be, I guess the word is proactive. Uh, get your own neighborhoods to use their contacts in their email and let their friends know, says, hey, you know, Sam's going to be here, or just solicit in general with your friends and on social media. What are the issues you have? You know, if and if you don't participate, you can't complain about the answers we get. And so it's tough getting people involved. I know that. Um, it's part of being a politician. Thank you.
Thank you. George Consuelo, please.
Thank you for the question. I actually love this question as it's my bread and butter. I think as a public servant, I mean, the expectation maybe is that, you know, the public should go to you, but in reality, in my mind, it's you have to be there to the public. You have to not only reach them halfway, you have to reach them where they're at. And that's very different for a lot of members in our community, whether because of their previous experience with the government, with law, with the current situation and their possible satisfaction or dissatisfaction with it. It is my duty to go out to where they are at, whether it's community events, whether it's areas that, you know, to work like unions and things of that sort, to make myself visible and to make myself a resource, and to have them know who I am, because they might know about the charter. They might know what it is, because when we're on the doors, that's actually one of the biggest things that we hear is that, what is the charter? I've never heard of it. I don't know what it is. So having that dissemination of knowledge and to have them know that there is a source, a resource there for them to use, is one of the biggest gaps you have to break. So being there in person, reaching out, not only through typical channels of social media and things of that sort, but going on the ground and really being about the work. And, you know, we put in all this effort during campaign season, but we also have to put in that effort when we're actually elected in these positions, having that communication with voters and community members strengthened and enhanced.
Thank you. John Colvin, please.
Yeah, I think everybody pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, one of the issues that we have is not very many people actually know that there's a charter review going on, let alone what the charter does. And admittedly, I didn't even know about the charter, you know, the county charter until this opportunity came up. And when I started doing some research, you know, yeah, it's you know, the just trying to explain to people that this is the rules and the scope of authority that the Pierce County Council has to go by. And so amending these and updating them is absolutely important. So how do you get that word out? You know, I mean, social media for sure. And you know, going out and door knocking. But you know, George made a really good point, and so did Sam, about being available. You know, we have to make ourselves available, and so you know, we have to make our emails available. We have to make our phones available. You know, we have to go out door knocking. You know, and just talking to people and putting ourselves out there. You know, and we have to bring the information to them because most people, again, aren't even aware that there's even a charter that the county council has to abide by. So if we're going to be amending a charter, we need to first be letting the population know, our constituents, that, you know, this thing even exists and this is why it exists and this is why we're doing it.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd.
Yes, thank you. I um, want to say that it's really about making it easy for people to know what the charter about and why it's important. I think that's what the through line that I'm hearing from everybody else as well. But when I talk to people in the community, um, they didn't know about the charter and why it's important. And I think that's why a lot of undervotes, I mean, they're not even sure exactly what they're voting for sometimes. And so I am excited about getting the information out. What is the charter? What does it entail? And making it really not only simple, but the wording of what it's about, making it so that it's accessible to everyone in our Pierce County community. And to say, okay, we're out there where we want to hear your voices. We want to get out there and say, as a collective, we're going to give these opportunities for you to hear some of the things we're considering as top priorities based on the information that we've received from the community. And so how do you engage? You get out there, you talk about it, you put pages out, you have advertising about what it really is, and at the end, that it's going to enhance the community of life by updating.
Thank you. So next, we're going to start talking about the charter. So we'll start with George Conzuelo. So Article 6, Financial Administration, outlines the rules regarding presenting and adopting the county budget. And the county budget's on everyone's mind. What, if anything, do you believe are a priority to be updated in Article 6? If none, please explain. George Consuelo.
Thank you for the question. For me, from my wheelhouse, I did not have Article 6 as one of my priorities, but having worked with the budget before with the executive and county council, it is a very big thing. It is a long and arduous time. Basically, the last quarter of the year is basically just out for the budget. So I believe maybe as was mentioned earlier with the ease of digesting this information. There are very long reports for the budget, possibly having there be a more kind of Reader's Digest type of summary of the budget. I know that's a lot of things to do, or maybe having an update to the website to where it is separated into sections so that people can find what is important to them. But understanding, for me, one of the things I've seen that have come out of the executive office for other commissions is the incentive for financial ability or financial incentive for younger voices. So having been a young or the youth, see on various commissions, work in other opportunities are a possible obstacle into having volunteering be a bigger portion of your life. And so having this kind of balance it out is really helpful, especially towards young people who are trying to, make a living.
Thank you. John Colvin, please.
Yeah, so the budget is huge, and it's very important. I think some of the top priorities of the county, definitely number one should be I-5. Because I mean, if you're looking for emergency response, if I-5, if there's an accident on I-5, and I don't know how many times people have seen it, an ambulance trying to get getting from their home station to the scene of the accident, and they're having to weave through cars. Cars are having to try to, crawl into lanes. It's very difficult for an ambulance to get anywhere on I-5, especially in District 6, right there in that small I-5 corridor. We also got to look at infrastructure. If we're going to go electric vehicles, if that's really the thing of the future, then we got to start looking at upgrading our electrical grid. And that's all. Then we also got to look at emergency. The emergency response in as far as such as Mount St. Helens. Or the Cascadia subduction zone. How are we going to respond to those emergencies? Also, I think very important is prioritizing the safety of our citizens over social programs. I'm not saying that social programs are bad, but the safety of our citizens should be paramount.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd, what, if anything, do you believe is a priority to be updated in Article 6? If none, just explain.
I just think it is really about prioritizing the expertise. And I'm right with George about the summation. When you are with that much money and that much responsibility and that large of a budget, a page after, I can't even imagine how much that is to go through in such a short period of time to turn around your suggestions about the updates of it. And so I just think real clear parameters around training, summarizing, getting the community's input and what the biggest challenges are for our communities attended to through the budget system. It's one of the most important things that our Pierce County representatives have to work on, and they need the time to do that, to digest it, and the training on how to make sure that they are capturing the real needs of our community members from all facets of our community. And so there are lots of things that will rise to the top when we include a lot of people in knowing what our budget is and what our priorities, and giving access to letting them tell us what our priorities need to be as a council.
Thank you. Sam Scott, please.
Thank you for the question about the budget. I mean, having done school district budgets for 22 years, it's a little bit smaller than the county, but it's the same kind of process. There's a lot of stuff in Article 6 that deal with the timelines for the executive present the budget. What we try to do in the school district is get the input of the constituents and find out, what are your priorities? Do you prioritize athletics or music or AP classes? So in the case of the county, what's not in here is any kind of process for kind of having the council members themselves, what do you go through so that when it comes to putting together the budget with the executive, that you can identify the costs and benefits of different programs that you want to have. What are the trade-offs you're willing to make that will work for the betterment of the community? And if you're going to create a realistic 6-year plan, then you have to have very clear-cut priorities that you've gotten by talking to the community. And the process of identifying those priorities and how they're going to be funded, what's in, once again, setting priorities in the tax rate in order to build a realistic 6-year plan that, you have an execution year, and then you have out years of dreams, and hopefully, the budget will give you the guidepost, because everything depends on, do you have the money to do it? So you got to get the input, and you got to put it together and identify the trade-offs.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with John Colvin. Article 9 of the Charter deals with purchasing, contracts, bonds, franchises, waste, public disclosure, code of ethics, and conflicts of interest, among other things. Covers a lot. Are there any changes that you would propose to improve transparency and accountability in Article 9? If not, please explain. John Colvin, please.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of changes I would make in Article 9. I mean, as long as we have a transparent way of ensuring contracts are being done fairly, that the awarding of contracts does not in any way, shape, or form create a conflict of interest with county council members, or even members of the county government itself. I think transparency is key. So, admittedly, I just briefly read through Chapter 9, Article 9, but I did not see anything that I would actually change. I would want to keep, like I said, the transparency, and I would want to make sure that we're following the code of ethics, that there is no conflict of interest, and any conflict of interest that arises, that number one is immediately identified and also is adjudicated. Is that conflict of interest truly going to be a conflict of interest? And if so, then that council member or that city employee or county employee rather, would recuse themselves from any decisions being made to prevent that conflict of interest.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd, are there any changes in Article 9 that you would propose to improve transparency and accountability?
Thank you for the question. For accountability and transparency,
it was Lisa Boyd. Sorry, George.
Sorry.
Sorry. You're muted, Lisa.
Yeah, I was trying to get there and it was anyway, giving me a little bit of a hard time. I didn't really study Charter 9 enough to know a really great answer here, but we must maintain transparency. And I think when I read it, I didn't see a lot of things that I would change, quite frankly, except, we want to make sure that we have the direct voices giving input and have transparency about what's happening. That would prevent anything that would cause us to have conflicts of interest. We certainly want to make sure that those making the decisions are not self-benefiting from those contracts and other things that are happening. So I'm a little less prepared for this one answer. I'm going to have to be really honest about that and say I'd have to look at it more to have a really intelligible answer for that.
Thank you. Sam Scott, please.
Okay, thank you for the question on Article 9. When I did read my copy of the charter, and I do have it printed out, and I highlighted one thing in here that I thought was good. Most of what I read in Article 9 is pretty standard boilerplate. I mean, I've dealt with contracts and contracting, throughout most of my 21 years in the Army, and then had to deal with some contracts and contracting at Pierce College, and certainly we have to approve contracts for the school district, and we've gone through bonds and some projects that require, very, very clear, transparent, ethical conduct as you're doing business because it's the public money. And if anything will get you in trouble, it's misusing the public money. But things are really, I think, well written in Article 9. And I especially like the part where it says sealed bidding to the lowest and best responsible bidder, so that just because somebody's a low bid doesn't mean they get the contract. And certainly one of the things we do in the school district for our board is you have a very low threshold for recusing yourself from a process or decision, because even if you don't have a real conflict of interest, if there's just the appearance of a conflict of interest, the smart thing to do is just recuse yourself and back away. And so Article 9 is well written. Whoever wrote it, it's been amended a few times, but it's well written.
Thank you. George Consuelo.
Now it's my time. I do apologize about that earlier. For me, again, as it's been stated already, Article 9 is pretty solid. And actually, I do have a recommendation to Article 9 that was inspired by the Veterans Policy. I believe it's Article 9, Section 3.5 or 3.2. And that basically is to allow for whichever administration, executive or the council, to have a specific policy in there. It doesn't dictate what, but it's basically like a placeholder for there to be a policy for our veteran population. And I was inspired by that section to add a welcoming county section in there, as we've seen with the current county council with expanding Welcoming Week to our immigrant and refugee communities, as well to anyone who has felt kind of othered while living here or working in Pierce County. And so I've been really inspired by that work that has been building up. And so why not put that into what we do every single day? And so that's what it would be for. There wouldn't be a specific policy in there for our immigrant and refugee community or our homeless population, but those are two identity groups / populations that I hope would fall under there. And so that's what I have for Article 9 in transparency.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Lisa Boyd. The county charter states one of its goals is to encourage citizen participation. What, if anything, do you believe needs to be changed in the Pierce County Charter Article 4 elections, and why? And if you don't see any need for change, that's fine. Lisa Boyd.
So one of the things that I think about when you ask that question is I'm sorry, I'm a little, I lost my train of thought. Can you?
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Please, I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. The county charter states one of its goals is to encourage citizen participation.
Mm-hmm.
What, if anything, do you believe needs to be changed in the Pierce County Charter Article 4 elections, and why? And if not,
with regard to citizen participation?
Yeah.
Is what you're asking? Okay.
Yeah, the Article 4 elections.
Okay. I think it's really about making it easy for participation, to be quite frank. We have so many different ways now to do that, and integrating our access to give answers and to share ideas, and making it so that we're using our new technology to get access to all areas of our communities and getting their voices heard and getting them. I think it's really an access thing with new technologies, new ways of doing things that bring people into the conversations, and making sure that their input has impact with some data that we're collecting. What is the impact, and what is their feedback on how we are reaching them and listening to their voices? They'll say, yes, you are listening, you're hearing, you're showing ways that is happening. And so I think we have to have our outcomes and measurable outcomes in the impact that our listening is doing to changing things.
Thank you. Sam Scott, please.
Okay, thank you for the question. I actually did a lot of redlining in Article 4 as I read through this, and the stuff was actually pretty good because I see mostly all of our leadership positions are elected. And I think one of the couple of things that we could do better to engage would be more forums like this. And if it became more regular and more accessible, that would be good. And the other thing is that I would want more operations and more positions to actually be elected and not appointed. Because if you have more things elected, then you have people who want to be on like redistricting committees. I mean, those things were appointed through the political parties. If they were elected, then the people who wanted to be on those districting committees would have to go out and campaign as politicians, engage more people. People would find out more what the process is, and hopefully would become more engaged. I suspect it's a bit more kind of like community organizing, something I've not done real well, but I think engagement, you would increase it if you had engaged technology, and also rather than having more things being appointed, but actually more things be elective, and which would cause people like us to be out in the community more to explain why we're running for an office.
Thank you. George Conzuelo, please.
Thank you for the question. Off the bat, I didn't, pick up anything for district. I'm sorry, for Article 4 for elections. Something that is related to elections is the auditor's office and having there be more, poll workers and more opportunity to have these ballot boxes and to have our votes counted. I know voter security, I mean, election security is a really big thing, especially after, I think, 2 years ago, we had that threat of violence against our poll centers, not polling centers, our ballot centers. But something related to elections possibly would be to review how big our county districts are. Being serving at a county level and a district level is bigger than serving for your district in the Senate, for the legislature. And so we have to be have that conversation of how big are we getting and how much is that necessity to have representative government, and possibly expanding the number of seats on the county council, or having more opportunity to have, like it was stated, to have more positions in there that act as that kind of bridge between the community and the elected officials on the county council. I know commissions and boards kind of serve in that capacity, but having there be more opportunities and more pathways to that conversation is important.
Thank you. John Colvin, please.
Yeah, I read through Article 4 myself, and honestly, voter integrity is something that definitely should be protected. And so I think it was pretty well written. I really liked Sam's comments, but one of the things that I didn't particularly like was that if there's a county council vacancy on a within the major or the majority political party, then that majority political party gets to appoint whomever they want to fill that seat. I think that should be an elected position. I think that shouldn't just be an appointment. I think that should be, also unelected. So that's something I would really like to change. But to get more citizen involvement, number one, military. Most military, active duty military, don't know that they can vote in local elections. And so they don't vote in local elections because they think they'll lose their home of residency, which is not the case. And so that's a huge population of voters that we're missing just because they're uninformed of their rights, of what they can and can't do. So I think getting information out to them is absolutely vital. And then making information more accessible, through advertisements maybe, but more than just having a website, social media.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question. The county charter outlines the rules for initiatives and referendums. And we'll start with Sam Scott on this one. Do you support any changes to the rules regarding initiatives, petitions, or referendums as outlined in Article 5 of the charter? Sam Scott.
Well, thank you for the question on initiatives and referendums. And when I read through that, it kind of reminded me of the amendment process for the U.S. Constitution, in that there is a way to do that, and there's a way for it to be amended either by the states or by Congress starting the process. But it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be deliberative. It's supposed to be kind of hard, because you really need to have people engaged. And that way you can't have just a few people kind of the tail wagging the dog. One of the things I like about Washington State, and I think the county initiatives and referendums is just a smaller version of the same process for the state, and the requirement for times and single issue titles and signatures and stuff like that. That's good, because we elect people to make rules for us because we're a representative republic, but we have the ability to be a true democracy from the grassroots level. And so the initiatives and referendums process in the county charter is, I think, really very straightforward. Their rules are there. I'm not going to say they're easy to follow, but they're very clear. And I think it's a way for citizens to do things, but it makes you work because it's supposed to be hard to get something in law.
Thank you. George Consuelo, please.
Thank you. Mine is going to be a general sentiment of the initiatives and referendums, just from what I've heard and the experience I've had with people working on them. And agreed, there's a higher threshold in that, so that if you really want it, then you kind of have to really work for it. I just know that and that might be specific to their government because it focuses on school boards, but I know school boards have had a difficulty in raising levies in order to get more funding, especially when there's a tight amount now. So that's the only thing, is seeing how we can maybe make it more of an educational thing, possibly post election season, so that folks do know that there's an opportunity for them to make change, even if that wasn't their direct outcome that they wanted. So to make the voters knowledgeable that it's not only voting that you're able to do, is that you're able to go back and kind of reopen the conversation with having, getting initiatives and signs and signatures in order for there to be a special election or for there to be an update, a follow-up on that. And so I think that's really what the important thing is that we are supposed to mold government into what we want it to be. And so knowing that we do have an opportunity to take a decision and, have that conversation again is really important for people to feel more in line with the power of their vote.
Thank you. John Colvin, please.
All right. My not all that technically savvy, as I said before. No, I think Sam really hit it on the head. That it's a great thing to have a way to amend a document. Our founding fathers, they knew that our Constitution was not going to be the end all be all. They change that situations were going to change, and that document couldn't be rigid, and so there had to be an amendment process. And so it's great that we have that process at the state level as well, and even at the county, that we can change and amend different laws, different practices. And I think that's an absolutely important part of being a government. But I think along with that is the freedom of speech. If we didn't have the freedom of speech, we wouldn't, the amendment initiatives process wouldn't nearly be as effective because you couldn't get the word out. And so I absolutely love, although I don't agree with everybody that's standing outside of Walmart or these other stores that are advocating for different bills or amendments or whatnot, asking for signatures. I may not agree with all of them, but I do agree with the fact that they are able to be out there and do that and inform the public that there is this initiative going on, there is this amendment that's out there, or there is this bill that's getting looked at. And so I think that's an absolutely outstanding thing.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd.
So the processes here are essential for our democracy, and I think I hear that through line, and it allows us to have the direct voices of the people in our county governance. And I believe the charter should continue to protect the rights to be able to run the initiatives, referendums, and those things that give voice to our people and cause us to have transparency of things that are important, initiatives that will change or enhance the quality of life for the majority of citizens in Pierce County. We don't want to create confusion and undermine the trust of our people when they can't get their voices heard or things through initiatives that changes need to happen. And so if changes are discussed, I would focus on improving the public understanding and simplifying procedures where possible, because sometimes things get a little cloudy and muddy, and it causes instability in our access and success in making changes that will enhance the quality of life.
Thank you. We've come to the last question, and we'll start with George Consuelo. The county charter establishes the structure of the county government. What, if anything, do you believe needs to be amended to the Pierce County Charter, Article 2 Legislative Branch and/or Article 3 Executive Branch, and why? George Consuelo.
Thank you for the question. Having worked with both arms of our government, of our executive and our legislative branch, I believe at the moment they're working pretty good. We've seen how they can work in tandem, as we currently have both the ledge and the executive branch by the same party. But we've also seen that how there is friction when it is two different parties, whether it's at the county level, at the council level or on the executive level. And I think that just makes our government more representative. That's one of the big conversations we've had here, is that, you know, these conversations are hard. We might not always see eye to eye, but working down the aisle and being able to come to a consensus where, you know, I may be able to get something, you hopefully will be able to get something as well. But most importantly, hopefully our community is the one that's getting something out of it, is shown there. So I believe, you know, with how the current setup is, it's looking pretty good. We've been pretty efficient, having to advise council in some areas with my position on the Commission for Refugee and Immigrant Affairs. I've been seeing that they are pretty interested and involved. I would say, you know, just having these meetings as well be brought out to the community.
Thank you. John Colvin, please.
Yeah, I think it's outlined pretty well. You know, having the legislation branch and the executive branch, and I think it's absolutely important that we keep a separation of powers. You know, and I think that's outlined pretty well in there. So I don't think I would make any changes necessarily to that. But what I would add is, you know, ask that the county um, that those, you know, sitting on the county council should be a little bit more foresighted in what they do. And I say that, you know, in talking about homeless encampments. You know, at one time there was not a lot of enforcement on homeless encampments, especially during COVID. But if you drove behind the Pierce County Jail, you know, there was all kinds of homeless encampments out there, and the police couldn't do anything. Their hands were literally tied because, you know, um, the county code at that time basically said that those homeless encampments were private property, or the tents and whatnot were private property and couldn't be touched, you know, until it started affecting the county council members. And then they started changing legislation, you know, to allow police to enforce more codes, you know, and get rid of some of those homeless encampments. So I think just being foresighted in what they do would be a whole lot, would make for a whole lot easier time.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd.
So I think that the balance of powers is really important. I think that we need to ensure that the public has trust in the system. I think as a charter, we need to really carefully evaluate what's working well, what's not, and what's serving our residents well, and what is in particularly key things that we might want to change when it comes to, or advocate for change, when it comes to this question. And I think if changes are considered, we need to base that on data, and base it on transparency for the public and input from the public. Ultimately, the goal should be ensuring that the structure of the government leads to accountability and trust for our Pierce County residents.
Thank you. Sam Scott.
I am so glad that you asked this question because I actually have something bookmarked. I did my homework. In Article 2, 2.45 ordinances, one of the things I was absolutely stunned at is if the executive does neither sign nor veto an ordinance, after 10 days, 10 business days, it becomes law. It's a pocket approval. So they avoid accountability. Says, well, I didn't sign it, so it's, and the same thing for resolutions. If the council doesn't take action, it will be deemed to have been approved an appointment, and because the council has to approve appointments. So if they're not taking stands, they're not being held accountable. The executive can nominate people to be appointed to positions, and the council decides, well, I'm just going to not make a decision. I don't want to rock the boat, no raucous boatus. And so they walk away from it. There's no accountability there. It's a pocket assent as opposed to a pocket veto. So I think those things need to be addressed. In Article 3, I think that we need to look at expanding the number of people that are elected, like the clerk of the Superior Court and even the coroner. The more people we have as elected positions, the more people have the potential to participate in the government process. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for closing statements. Each candidate has up to 1 minute for their closing statements. So we're going to change the order. It's going to be John Colvin, Lisa Boyd, Sam Scott, and then George Conzuelo. So we'll start with John Colvin. 1 minute for your closing statement.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for giving us a forum to kind of speak our minds and to be able to answer questions and to show the voters kind of who we are, our personalities, and what we do and what we're about. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And I'm hoping that I do get elected to this position because I think with my experience, I would add value to the team, and that we could come up with a viable, good charter, and we would have a good working document. My experience, my time in the military, my time on planning commission, I think would be value add to the team. So I look forward to working with everyone there if I am elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Boyd, your 1 minute closing statement, please.
As someone who's spent their life in Pierce County in public service in all the roles that I've played, I know that good governance depends on trust, listening, and collaboration. And I'm really excited about the opportunity because it is a nonpartisan position that makes me happy to sit with people from whatever side of the aisle you sit on. And the Pierce County Charter is our local constitution. It defines how we work together as a community. So I'm excited about the opportunity to give back in this kind of way. I bring a role of proven leadership, a heart for service. Like I said at the beginning, it's my fourth quarter, and I'm excited about everything that I do. It has to have impact and an opportunity to enhance the quality of life for the people in our area.
Thank you. Sam Scott, please, your 1 minute statement.
Once again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. And I believe that based on my background and experience, I am a highly qualified candidate for this position. I've done similar work in Pierce County for the last 22 years on the school board and kept the school district, I think, running very well in my position. And so I just ask for everyone's vote on November 4th. And once again, thank you, League of Women Voters, for providing us this opportunity to answer questions.
Thank you. George Consuelo, please.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters as well for hosting this panel. It's really great for voter engagement. And with my closing remark, I will say that my work speaks for itself, whether it's in my volunteering capacity, in my personal capacity, or work capacity. I took this campaign season to show the work that I will do on the commission. I didn't wait to get elected to start the work. I'm fighting for youth. My whole team is youth under the age of 25. I'm fighting for my immigrant and refugee community. I do that every day in the capacity that I still serve on the commission. And I'm fighting for our homeless neighbors, which I do that in my work capacity. So I'm taking all of this, putting pedal to the metal and the feet on the ground to work for our residents and the population, not just for our voters, but to really be there for them, not only right now when their vote is important, but also when we're just in the work, when their voice is the most important thing at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you all. The candidates for Pierce County Charter Review Committee District 6 are for position 1, George Consuelo and John P. Colvin. For position 2, Lisa T. Boyd and Sam Scott. Your ballot will be mailed to you on October 17th, so you probably have it. Be sure to vote early and no later than November 4th. I'd like to thank the candidates who participated, the timekeeper, Terry Baker, and the Tacoma-Pierce County League of Women Voters. You can see other League of Women Voter forums at lwvtpc.org and read your voters pamphlet, read the candidates' websites, and don't forget to vote before November 4th. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.